Well, hello and welcome to this lesson, which I've titled, What's the Difference? Of course, what's is the contraction of what is. So what is the difference? And then we usually add the word between. This lesson idea came from all of you because I think this came up a week ago or 2 weeks ago, or even further in the past. What's the difference between an alligator and a crocodile? In this lesson, we'll look at I think there's about 25 pairs of words, and I'll explain how they are different from each other. So once again, welcome to this English lesson that I've titled, What's the Difference? You'll get to learn 2 words on every slide. I'll have the definition and a picture to make it easy for you to remember. Once again, welcome. Let's get started. Apartment versus condo. I don't have to say versus every time, but let's talk about what an apartment is versus a condo, or what's actually called a condominium. So an apartment is a rented living space in a building with multiple units, and we usually call it an apartment building. A condo is a privately owned living space in a building with multiple units. So there's a slight difference here. If you live in an apartment, you pay rent. You send money to someone every month so that you are allowed to live there. If you live in a condo, though, you own the condo. By the way, an apartment and a condo look very similar. They're in a building. It's a tall building. When you walk in, there's a living room and a kitchen and a couple bedrooms and a bathroom. But a condo is something you own, and an apartment is something you rent. You do, when you own a condo, pay condo fees, though, which is just a small fee you pay every month in order to, pay for the pool and the gym and the person who cleans your windows on the outside and all kinds of little things like that. Alligator and crocodile. So an alligator is a large reptile with a broad, short head and a long tail that lives in fresh water. A crocodile is a large reptile with long jaws, a long tail, and textured skin that lives in brackish water or salt water. So, and I think alligators live in the Americas and in China. And I think crocodiles are found around the world. So I don't know exactly what the major difference is, other than the alligator lives in fresh water, so rivers and streams and glades in Florida. And a crocodile lives in brackish water. Brackish water would be a mix of salt water and fresh water. Where a river flows into the ocean, we would call that water brackish. And then salt water is, of course, found in the ocean. Alligator and crocodile. House and home. This question actually comes up quite a bit. A house is simply a building that people live in, usually a family or a small group of people, maybe a bunch of roommates who go to a local university, or a family, a mom and dad and a bunch of kids, or maybe just a couple. A house is just the building, okay? But a home is a more emotional term used to describe the place where you live or where you come from. So I am sitting in my house, but I'm also sitting in my home, and that's where it gets confusing. When I say house, the house has windows. I need to fix my house. I need to clean my house. Home, though, means the place where you live or where you come from. Like, where's home for you? That would be a common question. And you would say, oh, Canada is home. The city of Toronto is home. So it can be broader, or you can even say, my home is on this street. So they're a little bit interchangeable, but the difference, I think, is if you live in an apartment or a condo, you can still call it home. It still works that way. Hopefully you understood the difference. I'm not sure I did a good job on that one. Teacher and professor. So this is something that can be confusing for English learners. In English, especially in North America, a teacher is a person who gives lessons to children and young teenagers at a school. So I am a teacher. I go to school during the school year and I create lessons and I teach those lessons to my students. Because I'm in a high school, they are between the ages of 13 and 18. A professor in North America, though, is a person who gives lectures to older teenagers and young adults at a university. So just so we're clear here, a teacher works in an elementary school or in a high school. This is for Canada and the United States. But when you say professor, It's understood that you're now talking about someone who gives lectures at a university to older, I was going to say older children, but people who are like age 18 to 25. That's usually the age group that is in university. Jam and jelly. I'm not sure you knew there was a difference, but jam is a sweet, thick spread to put on bread or toast made with crushed or chopped fruit. Notice the jars look really similar. Jelly is a sweet, clear spread, or sort of clear, to put on bread or toast made with fruit juice. So the biggest difference would be that jam actually has strawberries in it, whereas strawberry jelly would just be made from strawberry juice. So it says clear, but if you look at the bottom of the jar, like see how you can see a little bit of light coming through the jelly? But if you look at the jam jar, there's no light coming through. So you can't see through jelly, but light can get through it. I prefer jam, by the way. So jam, a sweet, thick spread to put on bread or toast. Jelly, a sweet, clear spread to put on bread or toast. Jam is made with fruit, chopped fruit or crushed fruit. Jelly is made with just the juice. Frog and toad. So a frog is an amphibian with smooth, moist skin and long legs for jumping, usually found in water or around water. A toad is an amphibian with dry, warty skin and short legs for hopping, usually found near or even far from water. So a slight difference there. What's an amphibian? I think an amphibian is an animal that lives in and out of the water. And I think when they're young, they have gills and they can live underwater. You know, a little tadpole, like a baby frog, can live underwater, and then eventually it grows into a frog and comes up. So a frog and a toad. I think I could have done the whole lesson just on animals. I didn't add rabbit or hare or tiger or lion or anything like that, but frog, toad, now you know the difference. Mouse and rat. I don't like either of these. A mouse is a small rodent which sometimes lives in your house. We set mouse traps in order to catch them. A rat is a much larger rodent. It looks a lot like a gigantic mouse, and we do have some rats in our barn. And so usually the cats will hunt the rats and catch them. So a mouse, some people think mice are cute. I find them annoying. When they get in our house, they try to eat our food. And so we often will set mouse traps in order to catch them. And then we don't have rats around our house. We did once have our dog food in the garage, and then we started to get rats in the garage. So we don't keep our dog food in the garage anymore. Ice cream and gelato. So ice cream is a light, airy, frozen treat made with milk, cream, sugar, and flavoring. And gelato is Italian, by the way. It's a dense frozen treat made with milk, cream, sugar, and flavoring. So the biggest difference, I would say, is if you read up on it, ice cream has more air in it and is light and creamy, whereas gelato is a little more dense. And it's usually, ice cream can be kind of hard when you scoop it, but gelato isn't. Gelato is usually really soft, and you don't actually scoop it. I think you have like a little spatula that you pick it up with. I really, really like gelato. At Market, there is someone who sells gelato. It's a little pricey, but it is very yummy, and I do enjoy eating it. Butter and margarine. So when we eat bread in North America and in many parts of the world, or when we make toast, where you put bread in the toaster and then when it pops up, you will often put butter, which is a spreadable dairy fat made from churning cream. By the way, there's extra words to learn in the definitions here. And margarine is a spreadable fat made from vegetable oils. So spreadable means you can take a knife and spread it on, like you can like put it here and then put a thin layer spread. And churning is when I'm trying to think. We had a butter churn as a kid and you turned it and then two paddles moved inside. There are butter churns where there's a pole and you kind of mush the cream up and down. But butter is a spreadable dairy fat made from churning cream. Margarine is a spreadable fat made from vegetable oils. And they usually put a bit of salt in it sometimes. I prefer butter, by the way. That is my fat of choice to put on toast. Pancake and crepe. So I have to apologize to all of our French viewers. In English, we say crepe. Okay, so you can go to a restaurant and order pancakes, or you can order crepes. So pancakes are a flat cake made from flour, milk, salt, baking powder, and eggs, fried in a frying pan or on a griddle. So a couple new words maybe for you. Baking powder is a powder that makes things rise when you bake them or fry them. And then a griddle is a big flat hot surface that you can fry things directly on. And if you look at the far picture, you can see that pancakes, they are flat and somewhat thin, but they're not as thin as a crepe. So a crepe is a thin, delicate French pancake made from a simple batter of flour, eggs, milk, salt, and sugar. By the way, I'm sure if you order crepes in a North American restaurant, if you're from France, you would probably think they taste too sweet, or I'm sure the recipe is a little different over here. Pancakes are often eaten with butter and syrup on them. Crepes are often eaten with fruit inside them, or even a bit of syrup or other things here. So again, apologies to my French friends if we have taken crepes, crepe, if we've taken them and made them something they're not supposed to be, but that is what they are in North America. Needs and wants. Often in English, we'll talk about needs versus wants. Needs are the things that you have to survive. You need air, you need water, you need sleep, you need food, you need shelter, you need clothes. There are things that you absolutely need. There are other things too, like if you can't walk to your job or take a bus, you need a car. So things that are needed to survive, like food, shelter, water, etc. Wants then are things you don't really need. They're things that people desire but aren't necessary. You do not need a donut. You want a donut. You do not need a luxury car. You want a luxury car. Sometimes teenagers get these things confused. They think their wants are actually needs. Like, I need the newest iPhone. It's like, no, you want the newest iPhone. You don't actually need it. You need a phone, but you don't need the newest iPhone. You want it. Sensitive versus sensible. This one is often confusing for people learning English. If someone is sensitive, it means they're easily upset or offended about what people say or do. It can also mean they can easily read someone's emotions. Okay. So there are two kind of meanings here. Like, he understood me because he's a very sensitive person. But generally it means, you're easily upset or offended about what people say or do. There's a few different meanings, but it's a state of being, I guess. Sensible simply means reasonable or having good judgment. A sensible person brings an umbrella with them if there is a really good chance it's going to rain that day. A sensible person wears sensible shoes if they're going for a hike. So sensitive, couple of meanings there. Someone who can feel or sense other people's emotions, or also someone who gets upset or offended easily. And sensible, reasonable, and having good judgment. Ocean versus sea. So an ocean is a large continuous oceans are large continuous bodies of salt water. For example, the Atlantic Ocean and Pacific Ocean. So I also wanted to teach you the words e.g. here. So e.g. in English means for example. It's probably a Latin phrase, and I probably should have looked it up. Actually mean, it means for example. Exempli gratia. So it's a Latin phrase. But in English, we read e.g. as for example. So I would say large continuous bodies of salt water, for example, the Atlantic Ocean and Pacific Ocean. A sea then is smaller bodies of salt water, sometimes fresh water, often partially enclosed by land. And you can see the two examples I have given, the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea. Angry versus mad. First of all, generally in English, there is no difference. He forgot his laptop at home and he was angry. He forgot his laptop at home and he was mad. They basically mean the same thing, but there is a slight difference. Angry is a feeling of annoyance, frustration, or displeasure. Mad can be a little bit more extreme, intense and potentially irrational state of anger. So I don't know. I would say this. They're basically the same word in informal everyday English. Did your parents get angry at you because you came home late? Did your parents get mad at you because you came home late? Both of those sentences are correct. To laugh and to giggle. To laugh is to make sounds and movements with the face and body to express happiness, amusement, or ridicule. So interesting, the last part there. You can laugh, and it's a positive thing, but you can also laugh at someone, and it's a negative thing. If Jen was walking by the house and she tripped and fell and I laughed, that's not a nice thing to do, but that's what a laugh is. So it's like, I can't laugh on demand. So that would be laughing. To giggle then is to laugh lightly, sometimes in an uncontrolled way because of silliness or cheerfulness. Kids will often giggle like, hee 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 hee. That's my fake giggle. It's kind of a lighter version of laughter. When kids, like we went to a family reunion a few weeks ago and there were a lot of little kids and they did a lot of giggling. They were giggling quite a bit while they played. To lend and to borrow. This one is really hard to explain, and I hope my pictures help me with this. But many English learners, when they're learning English, get confused. To lend is to give someone money or an item, expecting repayment or the return of the item. So picture this. I have $100 and you have no money. You say, Bob, do you have $100? And I would say, I will lend you $100. Don't have $100 laying here either. So lending is something, the person who is giving something to someone else, that person is doing the lending. I have money, I'm going to lend it to you. Okay. To borrow is then what the other person is doing. It's to use someone else's money or items with the expectation of repayment or return of the item. So you might borrow $100 from me. Another good example would be this. My brother's car broke down. I decided to lend my car to my brother. My brother borrowed my car and drove it for 3 days, and then he brought it back. He returned it to me. So to lend, to give someone money or an item expecting repayment or the return of the item. And to borrow, to use someone else's money or items with the expectation of repayment or return of the item. So again, the person doing the lending has something. The person doing the borrowing is taking that item and then using it themselves. Democracy versus monarchy. There were a lot of types of government, but I picked these two. They're the most relatable for me living in North America, especially in Canada. A democracy is a system of government where people elect leaders. People will vote in a democracy to choose who is going to be the mayor, who's going to be the prime minister, who's going to be the president. In a monarchy, this is a system of government where rulers gain power by birth. If my dad is a king, if my dad's the king of Canada, and I'm the oldest person in the family, I become the king of Canada. No one votes or decides I'm going to be the king. So again, many countries in the world are democracies. Very few are true monarchies anymore. And then there are other systems of government as well that I guess I could do a whole lesson on systems of government. But a democracy, a system of government where people elect leaders, and monarchy, a system of government where rulers gain power by birth. Win and earn. So to win, when you talk about money, means money or items gained by chance. You can win the lottery. You can win a bet with someone. You can win a poker game at the casino, and you would get money, and that's money gained by chance. To earn means money or items gained by working. Okay, I earn money by working at my job. And I put this one in because I've heard English learners get this confused, where they use win when they should be using earn. So again, if you buy a lottery ticket and if they pick your numbers, you win the lottery. If you have a job, you earn money for working. And then I did put a note there, win can also be used to describe a person or team that beats another person or team in a sporting event. So your team can win. I just wanted to add that there. Fun and funny. This is similar to bored and boring. You have to be careful. Fun is something or someone that is enjoyable. So you could say Joe is a fun guy. You could say that playing Jenga is a fun game. Something or someone that is enjoyable. But funny means that something or someone that makes you laugh. So if you say Joe is funny, it means he probably tells a lot of jokes. If you say, when we get together and we go to a bar to hear a comedian, the comedian is funny. He tells a lot of jokes. So fun can simply mean amusing, enjoyable. It's fun to sit and talk with your family. It doesn't mean you're laughing all the time. You just enjoy the experience. But if you say Uncle Ralph is funny, it means he says things that make you laugh. Alone and lonely. Another pair of words that English learners sometimes get confused. When you are alone, it means being somewhere all by yourself with no other people. When you're lonely, it means how you feel when you are alone and would like to be with other people. So let me clarify. The guy on the dock fishing or whatever he's doing, he's alone. He might love being alone. I actually like going for a walk alone. I don't like walking with other people. And so when you are alone, it's not a positive or negative word. It just simply means there's no other people around. I'm going to build something later this summer and I'm going to do it alone because I like working alone. But when you're lonely, it's a feeling where you want to be with other people, but you are not. So you are lonely. You really, it's how you feel when you are alone, but would like to be with people. So to accept and accept. First of all, these are pronounced the same way. If you slow down, there probably could be a slight difference, like to accept or accept. I say them the same way. To accept is a verb, to receive something or to agree to something. So they told me I had the job, so I accept the job. He gave me a present for my birthday. I accept the gift. It means to receive something or to agree to something. The second version above the pizza, accept, means other than. And the example is, I like all pizza toppings except pineapple. That means I don't like pineapple. There you go. To lie and to lay. First of all, we use these interchangeably and we shouldn't, but we do anyways. But to lie means to put your body in a horizontal position to rest. I did a lot of that for the last 6 weeks. And then note, this can also mean to say something that isn't true, like I could lie to you. But if I say this, I'm going to have a nap later today. I'm going to lie on the couch and sleep. To lay means to put, set, or place something down on a table. So I am going to take these reading glasses and I'm going to lay them down on the desk. Now, that being said, sometimes people say things like this. I'm going to lay down and have a nap. I'm going to lie these down on the table. So we probably used lay quite often when we should use lie. That's the most common informal, incorrect use. But yes, to lie, to put your body in a horizontal position to rest. By the way, that's how I've been sleeping for 7 weeks, on a couch with pillows. I think I can sleep in a bed soon again. We'll see. And to lay, to put, set, or place something down on a table, etc. By the way, there's 3 more verbs in there, right? To put down, to set down, to place down. They're all phrasal verbs that you can use the same way as to lay. Desert and dessert. A desert is a hot, arid, dry, sandy place. If you don't know the word arid, it simply means a location where it doesn't rain very often. So a desert usually has lots of sand and it's hot, it's arid, it's dry, it's sandy. A dessert, though, is a yummy snack after a meal. Excuse me. Did I use the expression once It went down the wrong hole. It's an informal expression to explain what just happened. Now I swallowed, but excuse me. There we go. A dessert is a yummy snack after a meal. The desert is a hot, arid, dry, sandy place. By the way, I was going to teach another phrase. I opened this bottle of water yesterday, and I'm going to drink it today because I don't want it to go to waste. Okay, we're all good now. When you let something go to waste, like if I drank half this bottle of water and just left it outside for a week, there would probably be algae and other things growing in it. It would have gone to waste. It would not be usable anymore. Moral and morale. So this is going to take me a little bit, I think. When you are a moral person, you are a just person. You're holding high standards for good. We always hope that the moral people in the world will speak out and do things to make the world better. Morale, though, is the feelings of a person or group. When I'm in a good mood, the morale in the chat is very high. At work, when the boss buys us pizza, the morale is very high. When a team wins a championship, the team has very high morale. Okay, so moral or morals are like standards for good. You could have a lack of morals as well, but morale with the E on the end, morale would be the feelings of a person or group.